We're also bringing you that breaking news released today in the death of Harmony Montgomery. This is a case we have been following for years here at Court TV, and I know a lot of our viewers have been as well. The affidavit in the murder case against her father, Adam, has just been unsealed, and it is offering some disturbing details, to say the least, about how this little girl died. The document states that investigators believe that Adam punched his daughter several times in the face or head. The 48-page document draws heavily on interviews with Adam Montgomery's estranged wife, Kayla Montgomery. She will be important to this case. Now we know a lot more about how investigators and prosecutors got to the point where they are now in filing these charges against Adam Montgomery. Court TV legal correspondent Julia Ginne is here, and it's a hard read.
It's an impossibly hard read. It's gruesome, it's disturbing, it's sick. Not only the things that allegedly happened to Harmony Montgomery at the point of her death, before, leading up to her death, but then even after her death, what happened to her body. And we know there's an abusive corpse allegation, a charge against her father. I want to take everyone to just this point in the affidavit. You mentioned 48 pages, but there's one turning point where investigators are getting a second round of information from Kayla Montgomery. She first didn't tell the truth. Then she explained what happened that day, December 7th of 2019, where she says they were living in their Chrysler Sebring. And Adam and Kayla, along with their children, including Harmony, and that Adam Montgomery was pretty upset with the 5-year-old because she wasn't telling them when she needed to go to the bathroom, and she was having accidents in the car. And at that point is when Kayla told police that he struck her to the point that it caused her death, that he struck her with his fist that was closed, and that this was to her head and her face, that she went unconscious. I mean, this was so difficult to hear, but this is our first time understanding the actual cause of death in this case. We've seen so much about it in terms of how long she was missing. 2 years before police were involved in searching for her, but now revealing what happened back in 2019, before the pandemic, before so many things closed down, which has been said to have exacerbated this period of time where Harmony Montgomery just slipped through the cracks. Here's some other things that I noticed in this affidavit that really stood out to me, that not only at this point, but that she suffered repeated blows on various occasions at the hands of Adam. One family member saw her with a black eye. And on December 7th, when that striking that caused her death, according to Kayla Montgomery, happened, that Adam told her, "I think I really hurt her this time." Adam, Kayla, and their children were living in that car out in the parking lot of a friend's home at the time of her death. And she also told police that it was at least 20 minutes that passed before she and Adam realized she wasn't breathing after that hit. They gave the child no medical attention at that time, and the affidavit says that Adam simply put Harmony's dead body into a bag and walked it back to the parking lot. Ted.
Oh my gosh. Oof. And then, according to the affidavit, this, as you mentioned earlier, didn't stop in terms of the shuffling around of this poor little girl's remains.
For months. For months, they kept her body with them. And we've taken the photos from the affidavit and put it into a timeline of what investigators say was happening with her, how she was being transported, starting with December 7th of 2019, when she was stored in a black duffel bag in that car. And it said that Adam Montgomery would sometimes either have it in the car or put it out in the snow to keep it from decomposing. Then the family moved to Kayla Montgomery's mother's apartment. And that's where this red cooler was used to store the body out in the common area of the mother's apartment. And the mother seemed to be unaware of what was in this cooler. Then they moved from there to a transition shelter. And the ceiling vent is where Kayla Montgomery told police is where they put the body. There were complaints from other people living there who said they smelled something weird. After about a month and a half, they moved from there to an apartment. In between that time, we don't have it on the timeline, but he was working at a pie company, and he actually kept the body in a walk-in freezer there, according to this affidavit. Then they eventually moved the body to this apartment where they live. You see the bathroom there. And then ultimately, they used this maternity bag and used it to move the body that was frozen in a refrigerator to a Econo Lodge, a hotel, and Adam Montgomery, according to Kayla, rented a U-Haul and took the body, the remains, to an unknown location. She is unaware of where he went, and she said that she believed he purposefully didn't tell her so that if she was ever asked by police, she wouldn't be able to disclose.
Yeah, and now that makes her testimony so incredibly important at trial. What about Kayla? Boy, she was a spectator during a lot of this.
Spectator, witness, she was there, she was helping. I mean, when I mentioned about them transporting the body to his job, she placed that bag with the body in between their other two young children in a stroller to transport it. I mean, who's going to look there? But you see how connected she was to this, not just because of Adam, but very much a participant. We saw her there testifying against him in the weapons trial. Her testimony is very important, but you wonder how the jury is going to react to her likely getting a deal. But she said she was there every step of the way. Will the defense say that she did it and Adam did all of this to help her cover it up? Who knows? But take a listen to what she said during the weapons trial about the time in their life, especially where she worked at the time.
I was working up until November 2019 at Dunkin' Donuts. I would work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Adam would be home with the kids while I'm at work, and he would drop me off and pick me up from work because I didn't have a license.
When you say we were using drugs, what do you mean?
Like getting high, using heroin and crack and weed.
Harmony, Declan, and Seamus, how did you support them?
We had food stamps and my income, which was barely anything at the time. It was just chaos in that house at that time.
This affidavit is making so much of that more real because the way that investigators were able to figure out that Kayla Montgomery wasn't telling them the truth in the beginning, she said, I was at Dunkin' Donuts. Adam Montgomery went to take Harmony back to her mother's and came back without her. That's all I know. They checked with Dunkin' and they confirmed that she had been fired by the time Harmony went missing. So when they knew that that was a lie, they brought her in again, and that's when they got all of this additional information.
Wow, and such specific information. Again, this trial coming up in the fall later this year, it's going to rely on Kayla, and boy,
Usually.
Man, it's just heartbreaking. Julie Janae, thank you. Let's bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Marie Pereira. She's been with us all morning in New York, and joining our conversation, state attorney in Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg. Hello, welcome, Dave. Dave, to you first. We're talking about a deal for Kayla. You don't have a case without her, but boy, it's tough to stomach her not being held accountable, given her front row seat to this horrible, horrible set of events that lasted months.
Yeah, Ted, the jury's going to hate her, and rightly so. I mean, look, this was hard to watch, and to think that someone like that could do something to such a sweet, innocent young girl, I think that the jury is going to react negatively, but on the other hand, they're also going to react negatively to the defendant here. And so, yeah, the prosecutors don't have a choice. You've got to hold hands with the devil sometimes because that's your only option. So, yeah, they're stuck with this awful woman, but that's the only way they can get a conviction of the most guilty person of them all, the defendant in this case.
Marie, your thoughts?
Person, not then and now. And I'm just shocked at the way that they treated this poor child. This was so preventable on so many levels, from social workers to family court to other adults who should have intervened, and they dropped the ball. This abuse was not a one-time thing. It was something that happened continually to this child. And I just don't understand how she went missing. No one said anything. Never mind Kayla, the drug addict, all right? We're talking about other people who had to know what was going on. How did this man even get custody of this child? How did family court give him custody over some other people who wanted to take the child? I just don't understand. Do they not do home checks to see where this man is putting the child? They were only in it just so that they can get money money from social services? How did someone not make a field visit and see, okay, you want this child? Where are you going to put the child? Who's going to take care of the child? How did teachers not see bruises on her? How did social workers not intervene? Neighbors, 2 years she was missing. This is just heartbreaking. It infuriates me.
Well, you're not alone. Dave, the COVID excuse probably doesn't really fly just because of the extent, the length of time. This child did fall through the cracks.
She did, and there should be civil lawsuits and investigations on what happened. Maria's right. I really appreciate her passion on this. It's a shame that the government workers who were supposed to watch over kids like this didn't share the same concern as she did. But yeah, as prosecutors, you're left to pick up the pieces afterwards. And when we get involved, it's always too late. But at least you can do a measure of justice, and that is to hold both of these individuals accountable. The problem is, you're really not going to be able to do justice against Kayla because she was involved, but without her, they've got very little case.
Yeah. Do you believe, Marie, the story that Kayla told?
I believe every single account of it. It's heartbreaking. And the fact that she left her own kids with this man while she allegedly went to work at Dunkin' Donuts, it speaks volumes concerning this person that, like Dave said, that we have to get in bed with, because but for her testimony, we would never know what happened to that little girl. It's just so disgusting. How did the system fail her like this?
It is disgusting. No other way to say it.